The picture in world's largest democracy, it's now getting a little bit clearer after 6 hours of counting. The state of Uttar Pradesh, it is turning out to be a huge upset for the BJP. The India bloc is ahead of the NDA. The swing states of West Bengal and Maharashtra are turning out to be the thorn in BJP's march to 300. Meanwhile, it's turning out to be a double delight for Chandrababu Naidu's TDP. They are all set to form government in Andhra Pradesh, while have considerable gains in the Lok Sabha set as well. And it seems that Naidu can play the role of the kingmaker. The BJP is on track to end BJD's reign in Odisha. The Saffron Party is ahead in the assembly results and have also surged ahead on the Lok Sabha seat. So these are the top developments at the moment.
All right, this is where things stand at the moment. There are around 543 seats that have been contested on the majority mark being 272. And we can tell you that the NDA is leading with 294, with BJP backing most of the seats there, and the India bloc backing 227 seats, with the Congress making some very unexpected gains. Now, to get us more perspective, in fact, the global perspective, we are being joined by Mr. Chris Blackburn. He's an international affairs expert and political analyst from London. Mr. Blackburn, good to see you. Thank you so much for joining us here on WION. This is something we have been constantly focusing on even before the election started, about how an election in the world's biggest democracy like India is going to have a global ramification. What is your take?
Hi, thank you for having me. I think from what we've seen, especially when I've been looking at the global press on the Indian elections, is that the majority have been very positive about this. Is seen as a festival of democracy. We've had over, 969 million registered voters participating. Obviously, we don't know the final sort of voter turnout now, but we will see it, and it's been a spectacular display of democracy. So I think on that issue, it's been great. I think that the international media, and I've been quite critical of especially sort of journalists in the Anglosphere, especially the UK and America, being a little bit too pushy in their coverage of these elections. And we had in the UK, we had the Guardian newspaper. They basically said that they were telling Indian voters who to vote for, basically saying that Modi doesn't deserve a historic third term, which I thought was quite an amazing thing for a British newspaper to be pushing. But I think the coverage has been quite balanced on the whole. Obviously, people of different parties and different political stripes and spots will probably disagree with that, but I actually think the global perspective has been that this has been a celebration of democracy. There's been minimal violence, and hopefully today, as the counts come in, hopefully these sporadic sort of pushes against each other, like parties fighting for positions, hopefully we'll see violence to a very, very low level. But on the whole, it's been a massive display of democracy and how Indians and the voters can choose.
Right. Mr. Blackburn, of course, you seem to make a fair point there that the British media has been covering India in a certain light, but how we see it is that at the end of the day, it's the Indian voters who are deciding what's going to happen with the country and no one else. And we are able to see that. What do you think the past 10 years of Prime Minister Modi's government has done to take India at the stand that it has reached today?
Well, I think Modi has he's been a different animal from when he was a politician to being a statesman. And I think over the last sort of the two sort of terms he's had, India's growth has been phenomenal, whether it be on the international stage, whether it be through the economy. India is a rising power, and I think it's a very exciting period in India's history. If you look through Indian history, times have never been so good, and I think the future projections of the economy and becoming probably the economy is going to, it's already leapfrogged the UK. I think when it gets to the point where it's really challenging China and the United States, then we'll see real big movements in the world, and I think already on the global stage. The last time I was in India, there was quite a lot of interest from the global south and especially in Africa of how India's sort of being a, a leader for those kinds of countries, and that it's going to become a new voice. And I think that's really refreshing on the world stage. I think for people in the West, it's been quite an anxious time because obviously the power is shifting. And I think as we're seeing this multipolar world developing, India will be the leader of that movement. And I think that it's a real refreshing change. And I think a lot more people in the West will be welcoming that sort of step up by India.
All right. Well, Mr. Blackburn, thank you so much for joining us on the broadcast with your insights on this. Moving on now, we're also being joined by Amrit Gill, National Spokesperson, Congress from Chandigarh. Thank you so much for joining us right now. I want to begin by asking you, we've been seeing early trends, the numbers that are slowly trickling in. I want to begin by asking you, if you had to sum up what we've seen so far, what would you say?
It's definitely the biggest festival of democracy in which people are voting to safeguard the democracy. It's India versus India. India, people are working for the nyay, to get the justice, because it's the people of India who are fighting against the autocratic rule of the regime of NDA government, which was totally pro-capitalist. Few people and a few big business tycoons, and now the people are voting to get for their employment, for their share, for their rights, and India Alliance is doing very well. Even in Punjab, in Chandigarh, where I am right now, Congress is doing really good, and it's India, the people of India, my country, versus the capitalist, pro-capitalist government. So that's how the patterns are coming up, and we are quite hopeful that India will surely form the government.
All right, Ms. Gill, there are some unexpected gains that the India bloc has been making, of course, and Congress in specific. And we have been speaking to the Congress leaders across India about it, about the reactions. I want to ask you, this is something I've been asking to the Congress leaders as well. Do you think the NDA government underestimated the power and the clout that the India bloc brought with it?
I can't comment on what NDA was thinking, but I'm surely saying this is the hard work and the teamwork of India Alliance, as well as the Congress, different teams, different people, and the committed workers. Everybody, even we were present at the booth level, and we have worked so much, so hard that we know everywhere how many votes the party and the candidates are going to get, and it's because of the hard work and the teamwork which we all put it together. That is why these are the results, and even we were expecting, and maybe with the last phase you can see even better performance.
Right, and now, Ananya, in fact, I wanted to emphasize this point as well, Ms. Gill, and I wanted your clarity, some clarity on this by you. We've been talking about the India bloc's performance. I want to understand, what is it that they were able to do right? What sort of a chord were they able to strike with the voters?
You can say the main thing is if you look at the policies and the situations of farmers, the youth, there was high unemployment, everything. It's the people, they have voted for their nyay. It's like India Alliance, we worked together, and it's the people of India realized that BJP and their working style is anti-constitution. And it's the people of India who stood by the constitution, and they want to safeguard the constitution of my country. They want to safeguard their rights, their freedom of speech and expression, which is quite missing in the current regime. And that's why they stood by India Alliance, and the constant efforts of all the parties of India Alliance and the grounded approach and approach of bringing everybody together, that worked very well.
All right, but that being said, now just for better understanding here, what are some of the big wins that we are looking at then? Where are they going to get the rest of their seats from? What do you think? Ma'am, I hope you can hear me.
Yes, you're talking to me.
Yes, ma'am.
Please come again.
Yes, ma'am. I was asking you on what you just said. What are some of the big wins that we're looking at then? Where do you hope that the rest of the seats are coming from?
We have to watch like Punjab for sure, Haryana. We are doing very well. Uttar Pradesh, Maharashtra, and South also. So let's Himachal. UP is one of the biggest place we are, and Rajasthan too. So these are the places we are expecting even better, and Punjab performed really well for Congress, and AAP also. Together we will be doing very well.
All right, thank you so much for speaking with us, Ms. Gill. Those of you who are just joining in, that is the winning line. Right now, the NDA stands with 297 seats. That's a little above the majority mark that stands at 272, and the India bloc has managed to garner 227 seats. Now, I would want to quickly bring in here the exit polls that we keep going back to, because that's the comparison we have been making. 227 seats is what the India bloc stands at the moment, but when we see at the exit polls, none of the exit polls actually gave the India bloc even the 200 mark.
Absolutely, Ananya. In fact, I feel like the most accurate picture that we got from the exit polls was that for TDP in Andhra Pradesh. I think that is the closest that we've gotten. And in fact, you know, we've been hearing so many of these opposition party bites and sound bites that have been coming as well. Some have called them deeply unscientific, and of course they are hoping to spring in some sort of a big surprise here. We are seeing some big changes and tectonic shifts here, which, I mean, of course, we need to delve deeper into those, and these are just early trends. But you're right, I agree with you on that point.
Exactly, and speaking of that, there are surprises on both spectrum, not just the India bloc, but as well as the NDA bloc. Now, we keep going back to this narrative that the BJP and the NDA kind of built about the 400 mark and how they are eyeing for the 400 mark. Now that seems like far-fetched at the moment, but of course it's early to say.
I would still say it's only 1 p.m.
Absolutely, as we keep saying, it's a little post 1 p.m. and it's still early to say. But yeah, because the exit polls that we had was completely one-sided. Let's face it, we all knew that the exit polls suggested that the NDA government is definitely getting re-elected, and there are no doubts about that even right now, even though the India bloc has been able to make some unexpected gains.
I believe the performance has been better than what most expected here, and of course, as the numbers trickle in, so are the reactions. I think we should get our viewers some of the reactions from prominent faces that have been coming in. Listen to this.
The expected result only we are getting, but we expected more than 350 seats. All NDA partners we are expected, but in that actually little bit disappointed by Congress. But even after this result also, our responsibility to tell our regards to the entire country, citizens who voted NDA candidates.
On one hand, the BJP is set to cross the 250 mark, and on the other hand, Congress is struggling to even reach 100 seats. The gap is huge, and it speaks for itself. Our NDA alliance is way ahead of everyone right now, and that will reflect in the results too. People in Odisha wanted a better government, and BJP has done tremendous work in the state. PM Modi came to Odisha, and so many union ministers came to MP. It will all translate into votes this election.